All right. I'm going to transition to the next step here because these two go together. So in talking to some of you, I think you're ready for this next step. So in PBL, we want to always be paying attention to our students, and today you're kind of mine. So to figure out when we're ready for this. The next piece is the authentic audience, so when you're planning for them. And one of the ways to build a project, too, that I didn't mention at the beginning is you start with your authentic audience. If you have a really good partner in mind you can work with, this is design thinking now, is start with your partner and actually work with them, and I mean a community partner, and say, hey, what problem can we solve for you? And they might help you create your driving question and your product. So now instead of you trying to figure out what's a good product here, your community partner is actually going to help you. We could use this. So, for example, one of my colleagues here did a modernity project, and he worked with Bethany Christian Services, and they help with lots of refugees, and he had some refugees come in and talk to his students, kind of as an entry event. But what they needed is these refugees come over here, and often from third world countries, they don't know how to do simple things in America, like sometimes it's just dealing with light switches or going to the grocery store and all these things. So his students made kind of tutorial videos, and Bethany Christian Service took them and now uses them with the refugees. So the community partner drove the end product because this was a real need, and the students were super fired up because, hey, what I'm making now is going to be used. And it went so far as, I feel like it was a guy, I don't remember who it was, actually come up, they made one on how for women how to use feminine products, which was a little awkward for them, but it's things that they needed to know. So your audience can be really important for helping you think of that end product. So you kind of want to think of all these things at the same time, not always in order. Some other examples. Our science teachers use Google Science Fair because it was a nice open-ended thing. You're going to submit this to Google Science Fair. So they had kind of an open-end one there. One that we did last year, I helped orchestrate, was we did one throughout our New Tech network called My Party. And we did it tied with the election. And so the standards I was dealing with were actually the conservative movement under Ronald Reagan and then FDR and the New Deal. And I took those standards because those are the two heroes basically in the framework of the Democratic and Republican Party, and we studied the origins of those parties, but then the students had to come up with their own party. So they made their own political party, they made their own campaign platform and their own commercials, 30-second commercial. And then we had a contest at our school to see which one was the best. They also had to do a 2-minute stump, and we got local congressmen to come in and listen to all of them and show the commercials, and they voted on it, and we took the winner. Well, different schools did this all around the New Tech network, and then we all had our winners come and compete against, that was like the primary, so then all the winners competed at the national level to have a winner there. So there's another audience that we use senators. Another one done was World War II veterans were used. They went and interviewed them and made documentaries about them. And then they had a red carpet event and brought them in and showed them all the stories of their lives. So anytime you can find a community partner, it's a big plus for yours. We've used, like some of the things I've already mentioned, we invite anybody we can to like our art show or some of these things. We had the architects come in, of course, that I mentioned earlier, and judge the 9/11 things. So whenever you can get a professional to come in that ties into it, when we did our art show, we invited some of the professors at local art colleges to come in and critique the work. So anything like that adds to the validity of the project. And in particular, we all know if they're doing it for you and you're going to look at it and then it goes in the garbage can, there's just not a whole lot of motivation there. So when they know it's going to be, other people are going to see this, it ups the ante and you get better work. It definitely helps get to quality work when they know, oh, other people are going to see this. I need to not halfway do this, but do my best here. So community partners, in my opinion, are one of the hardest parts about PBL to get right because it takes work to find these partnerships. But the ones that I have the best community partners on are the best projects that I end up having, hands down. If I have one where I don't really have a community partner, it tends to break down. So some suggestions about how to find them, particularly you guys are all one district here, so not all, but most of you. Start working on a list. Have your district head honchos, your superintendents and such probably know some of the business people around town. have them put out some feelers. Who's some people who are willing to work with the school? Your parents of your students. What kind of jobs do they have? What kind of connections? Maybe make a form in a database and ask, hey, do you or yourself or know anyone who'd be willing to come work with our students on a project? If so, and what skills do they have? And maybe work collaboratively to make this list. And once you start building these partnerships, you can go back to them year after year, hopefully, and it helps buy in for your school too. And of course, that kind of stuff is a great thing then to call up, the news or the newspaper and say, hey, here's what we're doing, community partnership, and then they're doing a story on your school. And we all know we can use plenty of positive stories about education instead of the normal ones. So when you start doing these authentic tasks, then you get them involved in it. Once again, it ups the ante for the kids. Hey, the news is coming. They are. They care about what we're doing. It really makes a big effect. It was really cool. Our students are really passionate about gay rights. And when the senators came in, and we have a wide political spectrum here. They are definitely not all in one category. But pretty much all of them are tolerant on this one issue. And most of our local congressmen that came in were conservative Republicans. And when they heard all this stuff with gay rights, they came to me afterwards. They came to like 3 or 4 adults afterwards and said, is this really how the young people are? I mean, it made an impression on them that they were all either in favor of or not going to be against gay rights as far as gay marriage and such. And so, I shared that with the kids afterwards, and it was really empowering for them to say, hey, we got heard. Our voice mattered. So whenever you can do that kind of thing, it really helps. So the next step is with your product, as you're thinking about that, think about your authentic audience. Try to brainstorm some possibilities, maybe in your town, in your community, friends and family, whoever, who could help be your audience. And sometimes it also looks like an elementary school or a middle school where your students can walk, if it's nearby, share with them, another classroom. I mean, there's all kinds. Sometimes it's simply, you have to create this product and put it on Facebook or YouTube and try and get as many likes as you can or something. Try to promote it that way. I found those to be not as good as an in-face thing, but sometimes, you do what you can do. Might be collaborating with another school, another classroom through Skype or something. Make them your audience around the country. Compare with them. So in the form, work on that along with your products, if that makes sense. And I'll again try to help where I can.